Let's talk about Subnautica2, this company that acquired them called Krafton, and the earnout of its developers. Now, one of the most interesting things to me in this case, and we'll see how it's borne out and what occurs here, is that there are allegations in the briefs that both parties, both the CEO of Krafton and the developers themselves, their team, their studio for the actual game, that those guys actually all leaned on ChatGPT to try and find ways around things that they had already agreed to. So, newsflash to anyone who doesn't know this already, there is no expectation of privacy with your ChatGPT conversations, because ChatGPT is not an attorney. There's no attorney-client privilege. There's no real work product there. If the attorney is not the one using it, there's nothing, guys. There's nothing, okay? There's no expectation of privacy. You don't have that with your AI. So, turns out that those actual conversations with ChatGPT from the CEO of Krafton, they weren't produced in discovery because those conversations were deleted. And apparently there's evidence that one of the developers messaged the other people from the team saying to delete any ChatGPT threads that were incriminating. Now, I don't know what OpenAI's data retention policy is. I'm sure they don't really want the public to know precisely what data they retain. I'm sure it would be somewhat protracted in certain circumstances like this if people were trying to seek records of transcripts of conversations from ChatGPT, depending on a couple of things like what have they said to their users about it, what do the terms of service say, and what are they actually doing. All right, but the bottom line is that it's obvious, right? Or it should be obvious by now. Those conversations with ChatGPT, they're not privileged. Nothing legally keeps OpenAI from producing those logs, assuming that they exist somewhere. So it's not even enough to say, hey, I want to be a little bit shady and I'll pretend it doesn't exist, which you shouldn't do, all right? You shouldn't do that, but it's not even enough to say that, it's okay, I'll just delete them on my side. It's all stored at a server somewhere. You delete it on your side. Does it get deleted forever? Probably not right away. I mean, other people don't know this too, but even apps like Snapchat, where the users, where the actual messages between the users disappear right away if you have it set up like that, Snapchat still retains those messages for quite some time, like 30 to 60 days or something like that, so people can still get them, right? And either a valid court order or just in general, as long as the terms of service allow it, there's certainly no actual protection from somebody forcing that data into court, assuming that it exists. So it's something to always keep in mind, and it's just baffling to me. It's baffling that a CEO that's worried about looking like a chump, but obviously is smart enough to know that if they read something good from ChatGPT, maybe they could read it and trust it, that they're just gonna go ahead and be that stupid, right? And I don't even know, the conversation doesn't exist anymore. So then to admit it, well, what happened? They probably did know that they could admit it to the lawyers before the deposition or something. I mean, I don't even know how this got out, okay? But they probably did know. I would assume that this got out in deposition, or it wasn't lied about, because a lawyer told the CEO at some point, hey, you can't lie about that. I'm not gonna let you. And but then we get into whole other things, right? That's beyond the scope of this video here. Like, does the lawyer for your organization represent the CEO? Newsflash, no, they don't. And there might be privilege between the CEO and the lawyers, but it's probably not for the CEO. The CEO doesn't get to claim the privilege. The organization does. It's kind of hard to see how a CEO who's worried about looking like a chump and losing his job would be able to get the organization to claim privilege on his behalf. But here we are. Interesting stuff, I guess. People who think that they're smarter than everyone else, making the most obviously dumb decisions about high stakes matters. Just get a lawyer in the mix in the first place. I guess the one exception here is so maybe you had this agreement, but you didn't feel like reading it, and it was a prospective agreement. You haven't signed it yet. Sure, ask ChatGPT what it means, or maybe you even just have the agreement. Ask ChatGPT what the agreement means, but be careful, because depending on the questions that you're asking and what you're driving at and how you're trying to get there, it might be pretty apparent to people looking at the conversations what you're doing and why. And that's why conversations between attorneys and their clients are privileged. It's one of the many reasons. But a conversation between a computer and a person will never be privileged. I mean, that would be pretty dumb if it was. You disagree? Fight me on it.